What's going on, guys? Mateo, the Freight Guy. I'm here with Wade Fenton from OTR Solutions. This is going to be part two of our original video. If you guys didn't go see that, it was like our first podcast style talking about factoring, carrier talk. We were talking about basically everything you need to know about the beginning stages of factoring. We're going to jump a little bit more into it today, but first I'm going to let Wade introduce himself.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks for having me, Mateo. Like you said, my name's Wade with OTR. Been around this place for going on 8 years, and it's just super exciting to be a part of your efforts and the knowledge you give to your followers, and we just want to be here for a resource for you guys. So definitely looking forward to this podcast.
Hey, man, like all the subscribers know, I just got off of a job. I always say that in my videos, but it's true. And one of the best things about it is immediately gonna get that, taken care of invoice and be paid out quick on it. And that's
Yep.
that's the most important thing about these videos. I want you guys to understand, and once again, that if you guys don't remember from the first video, but all that information I'm gonna put in the description so you guys can click the link and get on with OTR Solutions, and kind of you're gonna learn about what it's all about in the video. But most importantly, if you guys are not subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe, comment, like the video so you can see more of me and Wade's wonderful faces. So,
I love it.
so
I
real
love it.
quick, Wade, let's dive right into it, man. What
Yeah,
what what's the sole purpose so we can remind people of factoring? Why does it exist, and what's the overall point of it?
absolutely, man. So really, factoring in general is supposed to be around as a resource for you guys as carriers, right? A lot of the time you're running loads for brokers. They're not going to pay you guys for 30, 45 days. OTR wants to be able to be there to help get you guys paid immediately so that you're not waiting a month, 2 months, 3 months to get paid for the work that you've already done, right? And so that's really the main focus of factoring. But even outside of that, um, you know, factoring companies, OTR specifically, we want to be there to take care of whether it's the invoicing, the collections on those invoices, paperwork handling, fuel card options. We want to be able to make sure that you guys are focused on, what you got into the business to do, which is move loads and make money, right? You want a lot of times people come into the industry, they don't really have that back office support that's needed to run a business completely, and that's what OTR wants to be there to do. So, the bread and butter of factoring, bread and butter of OTR is to make sure that you guys get paid quickly. But then we want to be there as that back office support when it comes to making sure invoices are paid, invoicing your brokers on time, and making sure that you guys keep that cash flow going so that you can continue to run your business effectively. So that's
Yeah,
kind
man.
of really the main focus of OTR and factoring as a whole.
Yeah, man, and it's super important. Like that gentleman I was just telling you about from the Carolinas I met in Chicago. He pulls up in his van. I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, man. As soon as I got this RC, I got half the money. Right up, immediately. As soon as I uploaded the
Yep,
RC, I was like, oh wow. And for you guys that don't know, that's a rate confirmation.
great call. Yep,
It's that contract, that binded contract between you as a carrier with your MC and DOT, your authority, and the broker, and they send that to you as soon as the load is booked. And that's basically saying the amount, the work, the detail of the work that's going to be being done between yourself and the shipper, going to the receiver, getting everything from point A to point B delivered safely. And then you just process that through the factoring, and putting in. Even the best part that he mentioned as well was the app,
absolutely.
uploading his documents, how easy it was. And I mean, it's
Yep,
exciting to hear about solutions like this that are built out for us, for the people that are in
100%.
the industry. We all got mortgages, payments on our vehicles. We got, mouths to
Yeah,
feed, and
exactly.
diesel to pump, so or
Yeah,
gas to pump too, and for the
yep.
most part. But that back office support really is going to be that main key to success, like we
What?
spoke about in the past. But we're just going to keep putting the nail in, the
Yeah,
wood, because I feel like when I see people that are struggling a little bit in this industry, it's because of
yep.
that cash flow that's not coming in. And sometimes, you know, I feel like that's what's going to give you that push to get to that next route, and to keep things, you know, up where they need to be.
Yep.
Now, most importantly, we all know that things could go wrong in the industry. We covered this in the last video. I want to kind of recap on it a little bit. And how can it hurt, if a broker doesn't pay a carrier if they're going directly without factoring? What type of things can they face potentially if this broker doesn't pay them that check that they're waiting 30, 60, or 90 days for, right? Because what's the average, real quick, what's the average net from a broker to a carrier if you're not using factoring? Let's be
Absolutely.
honest.
I would say typically around 45 days it could take for a broker to pay a carrier back. And I did
I
want to
couldn't
touch on
imagine waiting
something
that
real
long
quick.
for money.
Yeah, exactly. And, two things, especially at OTR, right? When you're submitting documents, and kind of you touched on this a second ago, we don't know if, when you submit that Raycon and BOL, we don't know if that's going to be for your mortgage or those funds are going to be for, your kid's birthday gift. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that you guys are getting paid, right? And you kind of also mentioned, that guy that pulled up on you when you were, at a fuel stop or a gas stop. He mentioned that he received, he was able to get, half of his Raycon immediately. He probably got a fuel advance from us, right?
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yep.
he was able to, some with OTR, you can submit as long as you have that rate confirmation. You send that over to us. We'll give you 50% on the line haul. So,
Yep.
maybe you haven't filled up yet. You need some gas money, or you need, some funds to get you to your drop. As long as you have that Raycon, we'll give you up to 50% of that line haul. Otherwise, that full, once you drop the load, we're going to pay you on that load, once you get that signed BOL.
Yeah, man.
So those are kind of two of the benefits with us. And like I mentioned, average time it takes 45, sometimes 50, typically, we see upwards of, 90 to 120 days before a carrier is paid on that load. And you have maintenance costs, tire costs, whatever it is, you need those funds immediately. So I really never understood when that policy, came into place, or why. Like, why is it that I do business for you now, but you're not going to pay me for that business for 3 months? So OTR, we do our best to make sure that you guys are getting those funds immediately, and then you can, continue to run your business effectively as you continue moving those loads.
Honestly, that's a really good point. I can't believe that that's even a thing. Like in that 30,
Exactly.
60, or 90.
Yep.
I get it because, billing and giving people time to get things processed. I get that part, but at the same time, you're right. It's just like someone who comes to work on your house. They require, once a job is complete, to pay.
Exactly. Someone
And now,
comes to mow the lawn,
now people
or
are
clean the
requiring
house.
half the money up front. So
Yeah,
you guys, think of it like this. OTR Solutions is that person covering that for you, for that policy that's in place, that 40, that net 30, net 45, 60, 90, whatever it is. They're that middleman that's like, nah, we're going to cut that out for a small percent, and here's your money right up front. And we're going to
absolutely.
make it even cooler. We're going to give you advancements for fuel. Let's make it even better. Let's get a lot of let's get a dedicated account manager. Let's get you a fuel card. Let's get you some savings at the pump. Let's do, like, you guys are breaking boundaries when it comes to the industry. Like, it's not handling a simple payment method to the carrier. It's really creating a different approach to the business, and
100%.
helping in many different ways. I mean, I spoke to somebody who got a list from you guys when they signed up. It was a broker's list, I believe.
Yeah.
They were a newer carrier, and it's kind of hard to structure yourself when you're new in the business. And they were able to work with one of the brokers that you guys provided, just by making phone calls. Because obviously, no one's gonna just start calling you, "Hey, do you want to load?" Once you get your authority,
Exactly. Exactly. That's
But
part of the business.
yeah,
You are, essentially a sales rep for your business, right? You got to be able to be comfortable making those cold calls, reaching out to brokers,
yeah,
building those relationships. And, as carriers come on board and, they go through our underwriting process, once they've, been approved for factoring, our onboarding team, if we'll reach out to them and see, hey, are you having a hard time finding loads? Do you need help with dispatching? And then we have, over the years that we've been in business, we've built those relationships with brokers and dispatchers, and that will work with some newer authorities to kind of help these carriers get on the road and start making some money. So that's definitely an added benefit to working with someone that, support OTR specifically, that supports, the carrier's business.
That's a really good point. And like circling back to that, what's the really big agenda? Like let's put into perspective, right? Somebody doesn't pay the carrier. If the
Yeah.
broker's working with a net 30 or 45, and then after 15 days they're like, "Hey, we're going out of business and you did 10K worth of work for us."
Yep.
Like what's the agenda after that
Absolutely.
without having factoring? How can it hurt the carrier?
Well, without a factoring company, then you're out, that 10K, right? Like you
Yeah.
moved all these loads, you did all this work, and then you're not going to get paid on it. So turns out it's a complete waste of time. It put you in the hole, and that could be detrimental to a carrier's business, right? And with
Very.
OTR, that's why it's good to utilize our program as that protection, so that when you do move those loads, you know that, hey, I'm going to get paid on this invoice, and 3-4 months down the line, if the broker goes out of business, assuming they were approved with OTR, which the vast majority of brokers are, then you never have to worry about that invoice again, right? So,
Yep.
we have that non-recourse program that I'm sure a lot of carriers hear about out there, whether it's non-recourse or recourse. And with non-recourse, the carrier, you submit your paperwork. As long as there's, the only caveat being there's no damages on the loads, we pay you on that load and you never have to think about it again, right? A lot of other factoring companies will kind of present their program as non-recourse, but when it comes down to it and you read their contract, you realize, oh, if the factoring company isn't paid in X amount of days, or if the broker goes out of business, then that factoring company claws back those funds from you. And 3 months down the line, you've already spent that 10K, whether it's on tires or your mortgage or your
Man.
company, you've reinvested into your company, and that can definitely be detrimental to your business. So especially as a newer authority, we pretty much don't even allow new authority carriers to be on a recourse program, because if you guys go out of business, not only is it detrimental to you, but then selfishly OTR isn't making any money because you're not submitting invoices anymore, right? So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that you guys are still on the road, still continuing to be able to move loads and not have to worry about what the consequences may be if that broker goes out of business or doesn't pay on a load.
Yeah, if you guys want to learn more about the whole recourse thing, we talked about that in our previous part one. You guys can go back and check that out. I'll leave the link in the description for part one. Me and Wade are obviously going to meet up again in the future for part three, and we're just going to keep dropping factoring videos so you guys can learn a little bit more about it. Maybe throw in some twists on different things, like my following question as far as the simplicity of getting on with OTR. How
Yep.
easy is it? Like that's probably something I want to be the headline of the video is, how easy is it to really get on with OTR solutions?
Absolutely. We try and make it as straightforward as possible, right? We don't want it to be too complicated for you
Yeah.
guys. Obviously there's going to be like, a quick application process and just submitting a couple documents. But once, you guys do fill out the application and submit those documents, we have an onboarding team that pretty much walks the carriers through, any other steps there may be. If you're with a factoring company already, we have a full buyout task force that has the ability to walk you through what the process might be like to switch over to OTR, right? And pretty much handles all of the steps needed in order to bring you over so that you can, be able to take advantage of our program. So we do try and make it as straightforward as possible. There's nothing crazy that's needed, basic documents, driver's license, ownership docs, certificate of insurance. And once all that typically is processed within 24 hours, then after that you got some loads that you want to be paid on, then we're ready to help you get you guys funded.
There's a real answer right there. I mean, that quick is insane. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the
Yep.
best part about it is not only is the factoring fast, getting paid fast, but getting onboarded is just as fast.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know?
Honestly, right? Like it doesn't,
Yeah. It,
we don't want to drag it
it's
out
it's
because
honestly
then,
a
yeah,
walk in the park because you don't want to make it something that's difficult. Like
yeah,
it's a solution.
100%.
It's a solution based
Yep.
ideology for a carrier to have. Now, as far as having a contact like myself, right? Having a shipper that I'm working with privately. I know we spoke about this in the past. We could kind of leave some of it up in the air till the next part if you want. but I did want to throw this out there. Let's say I'm working with a direct customer, like a
Yeah,
mom and pop shop, but they have some pull, they have some motion and they want to get approved for, factoring. So that way, instead of me charging them, they could wait a little bit longer to pay their invoice to you guys. So they could get approved, correct? If I'm not mistaken, they could hit you guys up, get approved, do a credit check, and then we could factor the loads that we do with them to you guys.
yeah, absolutely. We have a full credit team in house that has the ability. A lot of our carriers have direct shipper relationships. They might not be working with a broker, but they're working directly with a shipper. They have a
Yep.
contracted lane with them. Yeah, as long as the carrier can either submit a credit request form, or if the shipper wants to reach out to see if they can be approved, that's totally easy. It doesn't take much from that side of things for our credit team to see if they can be approved. And once they're approved, they're in our system, and the carrier can run those loads and still factor those invoices and get paid.
There's no way to lose, honestly. Once you have someone you're working with, if there's something like this available for you.
Yeah,
Anybody that's watching this right now, you guys are subscribed. Make sure you hit that post notification button as well, so that way you can see more of our long form content together. But I think one of the most important things you guys could take from this podcast is knowing that this is out here for you to win. And if you have a question, you have a rep that you could call. There,
absolutely.
you could get a hold of them. You guys could contact and ask anything that's up in the air when it comes down to the workflow, your workflow. How can you make it better? If you're struggling in a certain field when it comes down to getting loads, mention that as well. But also, I think that footwork is what matters the most. If you guys have a direct shipper that you're working with, or you guys are working with a brokerage, and let's say that they're not approved, that's only to protect you. You
Yeah,
know that.
100%.
So I think that's honestly what some people could get mistaken by is the approval of odds, which I think
Yeah,
OTR has the highest approval out of all factoring companies for brokerages,
absolutely.
if I'm not
And
mistaken.
100%, like the vast majority of brokers are going to be approved. And
Yes, yeah, I did
sometimes,
read
like,
that.
we're not going to I can't sit here and say that every direct shipper is going to be approved, but a lot of times our carriers will have good relationships with the shipper, right? And let's say you submit them to our credit team, and right now we say, we don't have enough information to approve them, but you guys have been working with them for a while already. A no now might not necessarily be a no, 2 months from now, right? So
Yeah,
let's say you submit them today, and our credit team is like, oh, we'd like to see a little bit more, back and forth between you guys. You can definitely have the opportunity to submit them again down the road to show, like, hey, the shipper has paid me, every 32 days. And then there's some options where we can open it up on a trial basis and things like that. So,
yeah,
and then on top of that, you don't necessarily have to. It's always a benefit to factor all of your invoices, right? It benefits OTR selfishly, right? It benefits you guys in getting paid quickly, but we don't force you to factor every broker or every shipper with us, right? So we don't have
yeah.
any minimums that you have to hit or anything like that. So if it's a good relationship that you have and you want to continue billing them directly, that's okay too. We would love, obviously, for you guys to submit every invoice through OTR, but sometimes you guys just want to, if you're getting paid weekly and you're just okay with that, that's totally fine. You don't have to submit those invoices through OTR. And a lot of, other factoring companies out there do require that all of your receivables go through them. And
That's a good
sometimes that's
point.
not necessary.
Yep, I have a direct shipper that we have a contract, binding contract. He sells me, and I feel like if it was ever to kind of get shaky, I would definitely refer them over to OTR for that to get factored. But I tried, well, everyone that I know potentially tries to carry their most of all their relationships through OTR solutions.
Yeah.
It's important, and you're, even though people look at the rates and they might say, oh, that's just a selling point in my eyes. I seen that shiny rate little commercial you guys posted on Instagram. That was that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I think you guys, yeah, you did post that on Instagram.
Yep.
It was what's his name? He's always in most of the videos. He walked in the room and they were like talking about the shiny rate. It was funny. I'll post the
It's
link in
very
the
often.
description.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need Wade to click the link in the description to watch that commercial.
Yeah,
Refresh his
exactly. I mean,
memory.
like you said, like you'll definitely get offered, that new shiny rate. It's a low rate,
Yeah.
but sometimes on our end, and I think we kind of talked about this in our last video, that
Yeah. Yep.
it can be a red flag, especially as a newer authority, to be
Yeah.
offered, a very low rate, because how is that company going to, A, selfishly, how is that company going to
Yep.
make money? And then B, what kind of resources are they even going to help you out with, and with such a low rate? So you definitely have to take that into account as well.
Yeah. And like I said, let them go back to part one and kind of recap over the other stuff we talked about. That shiny rate is in there, conversation is in there. That right there drives me nuts because it's just a marketing technique.
Yeah,
You know, Overall, everything is set up to protect the customer at the end of the day when it comes down to OTR Solutions. Been with you guys
absolutely.
for almost what 3-4 years now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can tell you guys are a key player in this industry, and I highly appreciate your time. You guys have been nothing but genuine and overall transparent with everything. That's the best part of OTR, that transparency. And
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to meeting with you again, Wade. I mean,
Yeah,
this is nothing.
anytime.
Our conversations are never ending if we don't cut them off.
Exactly. Yeah. We could talk about this all day, and definitely, we
For
want to
sure.
be here to make sure that we can provide you and the carriers in your network with some knowledge to be able to run their business successfully.
Yeah, man. And we'll cut it right here. I appreciate you for your time. Once again, guys, Mateo the Freight Guy. You guys could click the link in the bio, the description below to watch our first segment. If you guys want to get up with OTR Solutions and get onboarded with them, you guys click the link. I'll leave that down there as well. And not only that, but ask any questions that you guys have. Make sure that you have the
Absolutely.
proper, make sure you have the proper credentials before going over and signing on with them. As I mentioned in the first video, don't call them to get loads. For some reason, we have a little bit of a motion of people calling to get loads from them. They're factoring. If you need more information about it, once again, just drop a comment below too. We love to talk to you guys in the comment section. And like the video, subscribe, and we'll see you in part 3, Wade? What do you
Yeah,
think?
absolutely. Let me know when, brother.
Hey, you never know, guys. Part 3 might be in Atlanta. Boy Mateo
Yeah,
your boy Mateo might be in Atlanta soon. We'll see what
love it.
happens. Nice talking to you, Wade.
You too, brother.
Tell everybody I said what's up at the office. You guys take care.
Absolutely.